Brian from the Post, your line is open.
Adam, just following up on what you said last night about Sam, about getting better every week and how you believe he's going to be really, really good. From the outside, if you're just looking at statistics, he's 27th in passer rating, and there's been ups and downs this year. What are you seeing that leads you to say something like that? What do you see him getting better at every week?
Just his operation of the offense, the way he's taking control at the line of scrimmage, all the little details that you have to have before you really take that next step. I mean, I can't sit here and stare at the rating and be like, well, I wish that was higher. Well, when you have a couple games where you throw a lot of interceptions, which we've had 2 games where it hasn't been ideal, then that's going to happen. You put yourself behind the 8 ball. So, if that was strictly what we were going on, then, I'd probably say something different, but the fact that I've seen him improve every week, and I look at all the little tiny details that nobody can see or really knows about, that's what makes me feel really confident that he's going to be a really good player.
Manish from the Daily News, your line is now active.
Adam, just kind of along what you just said about the conversation you had with Sam on the sideline about somebody else not doing their job properly, how much help or how much more help does Sam need moving forward? And when I mean moving forward, I mean in the off season, to help him fulfill what you see in him.
Being in the thick of things right now, it's hard for me to really think, hey, he needs this or this or this. I know that's the personnel guys will really, really help address a lot of those things when we hit the off season. I will say that with the amount of guys that we've kind of used this year and the different targets that he's really been throwing to, I think he's done a good job of developing some good chemistry with certain guys and find ways to find completions. It's always going to be about, hey, in the off season, what direction are we going to go as far as, where are we at with all our stuff, and then what are we going to do outside of that, draft, all that stuff. We're a couple weeks away, so I mean it'll be easier to answer kind of once we get into that part of the season.
Mark from the Post, your line is active.
Hey, Adam, obviously it's been a pretty trying season for you guys with the injuries and the results and whatnot, but I just wonder, what other than Sam, what do you see on your team right now where the arrow is pointing up going forward? I mean, obviously you got a lot of work to do in the off season, but what are the things tangibly that you can pluck out of what's going on right now that kind of the arrow is going up as you move forward?
Well, I think the fact that we've played a lot of guys is really great, especially for our personnel department. They have a really good idea of who are guys that are going to have a possibility of having a future, what guys, if there's certain guys that have eliminated themselves, what guys to re-sign. I think there's a lot of guys that have probably helped themselves. I think, offensively, the one guy that I can say, like Robbie Anderson, I've seen really make some huge strides this last month, and I've seen him do some different things that, he wasn't possibly necessarily doing earlier in the season consistently. I mean, he's really, really made some huge strides for us, and I think that he's a guy that's really popped off on tape.
As a reminder, if you'd like to ask Coach a question, please press *3. Rich from ESPN, your line is now active.
Adam, this doesn't have to do directly with the game per se, but so after the game, I'm sure you got wind of this too, a video of multiple guys on your team, Le'Veon and a couple other guys, getting autographed from Lamar Jackson during the jersey swap. What is your opinion of that? Like when your guys getting the autograph of the opposing quarterback, and your thoughts in general on that entire practice of jersey swapping, which is so popular nowadays?
Yeah, Rich, that's really something I really don't care about because it doesn't affect winning or losing or anything like that. So I don't waste my time with it. If that's what guys want to do, that's what they want to do.
Brian from the Post, your line is active.
Adam, you look at last night, what worked better with Le'Veon than has worked at other points this season? What did you guys do better?
I think the line was doing a good job with opening up some holes. I really felt like our line, there was a lot of really good things that they did, both in the run game and the pass game. That was a tough defensive front to go against. It's a tough defense to go against. I think the guys did a good job. I think Wesco did a good job. We did some stuff with him as a lead blocker, just trying to, pop some things free. I think Lev did a good job of really trying to stick his foot in the ground and get vertical. And, we all knew exactly how we had to try to play that game, and we knew what we were dealing with their front and their linebackers and secondary. So we knew that we had to be downhill, and anytime that we ran, outside zone, we had to stick our foot in the ground and get north.
Manish from Daily News, your line is open.
Adam, on the 4th and 1 in the end zone that Robbie couldn't catch, I know you cannot challenge that because it's inside 2 minutes. But do you get any kind of explanation from them as to why they didn't even look at it? Did you? I know you're in the moment, but did you get any kind of explanation? And the second part was later in the first half, the pass that looked like it could have been an easy touchdown to Jeff Smith. Did he just not run the route properly? It looked like he hesitated for a moment, and that kind of cost you guys.
Yeah, I think Jeff, on that one, when he turned around, because the way what we thought was going to happen was that he would basically be able to catch that thing and start. I think he turned around and saw Sam start moving and was kind of in that moment of, do I keep going deep or do I come back to the football? And I think that was kind of part of that hesitation. And then, that was one of the things that we were asking. We were talking about it when it happened with whether or not if they would challenge that or the DPI if they were going to stop it. Obviously they didn't. I didn't ask for an explanation. It was, to me, it's, if I can ask and they're just going to say we didn't think it's enough or they don't think it's enough. So I don't bother doing that.
Mark from the Post, your line is active.
Yeah, Adam, as you guys were going into the game winning 4 out of the last 5, some people were kind of looking at this a little bit of a measurement, against a pretty superior team, one of the, hottest team in the league. I just wonder, how do you measure being kind of disappointed or demoralized by the result yesterday, or do you have to kind of grade it by a curve to some degree because of obviously your personnel issues and the guys hurt and all that stuff?
Yeah, we just knew what kind of game we had to play. Anytime that you're playing a team they won their division, they're the 1 seed. They're pretty good. So, it is what it is. We know we have to play a certain kind of game. Can't turn it over. We got to find ways to create, third down stops on defense. We had to play well on special teams, which we did. We didn't play a complete game. We knew we had to play a specific way to beat a team like that.
Brian from the Post, your line is active.
Adam, on the Harrison penalty at the end of the first quarter on the pass to Vincent Smith, what do you think of them calling that call against offensive linemen? I thought that rule was kind of created to eliminate the big hits on the outside, but now they're calling linemen if they face the goal line. What do you think of kind of the spirit of that rule?
Yeah, it is what it is. So I know this is probably not what you want to hear, but I really, whatever. That's a rule. That's the rules they are. I really don't care what rules they put in. We got to abide by them.
We'll take a few more questions for Coach. Rich from ESPN, your line is active.
Yeah, Adam, 2-part injury question. With Quinnen and his neck burner, how is that a concern, him being, usually players who are later in their career get those type of injuries. He's only 21 years old. Is that a concern? And the second part, with Jamal, is there a chance that you just may sit him for the last 2 games?
No, because they're both going to probably practice on Wednesday. So it's not a concern. The doctors haven't told me to be concerned about Quinnen. We think we got a chance of him and Jamal being limited on Wednesday.
Manish from the Daily News, your line is active.
2 things, Adam. One, I know you were asked about it yesterday, but there's a lot of different things that play into why the offense has struggled in the third quarter. What are some of the themes that you've seen kind of reoccur throughout the season? And secondly, on the punt that it looked clearly hit a Ravens player, what kind of explanation did they give you after they reviewed it?
They said that there was no conclusive evidence that it hit him, and it's never one thing in the third quarter. I think we've had some times where we've had some decent drives. We're just not consistent enough overall in offense that we need to be to move the ball and go score touchdowns. You know, it's whether it's the first, second, third, fourth quarter, it doesn't matter. All that stuff is irrelevant. It's just putting together a good drive no matter what it is in the game.